What's up, everybody? Rico Toro. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving me some of those. And thanks for the good comments and good feedback. And I want to even thank a hater or two that I picked up, because that means I'm doing something right. So just on a quick note, as far as YouTube hate, this is something I see in common with many guys on YouTube. I don't claim to be an expert on anything. Anything I speak of is from my personal experience, my personal perspective, or experiences that I've witnessed friends of mine, personal friends of mine go through. You know, whether it's good or bad, I'm sharing hands-on lessons learned. You know, and that's how I form my perspectives, not just here, but in life in general. And I believe some of the haters out there, like some I mentioned before, don't have a passport, don't even have a passport. You know, they're sitting miserable. You know, they're miserable in their personal lives, sitting behind a keyboard, wanting to flex and be a keyboard tough guy. Or maybe they do have a passport. Maybe they even lived here. But they'll claim to be an expert on, or they'll claim to know something or call somebody else out over something they do, based on information they have on the South Coast or in Punta Cana or Santiago or up in the mountains or some, Campo or something where they have, people or, based on something 5 years ago. They're not, a lot of times they're just throwing random stuff out there without personally being on the North Coast, Cabarete, Puerto Plata, Sosua, any of these areas. Sometimes not even in the last 5 years. It's just something that somebody told them and they perceive that the way it should be. But I'll bet my paycheck that many of the haters fall into those categories, and the rest are just miserable. That like to try to throw some shade on somebody else's parade or whatever. All good. You know what? God bless you all. So in this one, I'm going to talk about how the lines can become blurred. People's roles change. We change their roles. We make some mistakes along the way. We learn some lessons, etc. So for my subject, I'm going to call her Princess. And we'll go back like 3-4 years ago. I was living in Florida and Orlando, if you're wondering. So I was living in Orlando. That's not Disney World. This is Disney World. That's Kittyland. You know what I mean. So I would come down here 3 times a year or so for like 5 to 7 days. And I had a little favorita, Princess, and she would come stay with me like 2 to 3 days of that time. And, we became real cool. The boom boom was great at first, but I also liked hanging out with her. She was real chill. If I'm drinking rum and Coke, she's drinking rum and Coke. Which most times that's what I was at that time. If I'm drinking rum and pineapple, she's drinking Brugal and pineapple. That's how we rolled. If I order a pizza, cool. I didn't have to worry about no extra, BS with her. So we became real cool and I enjoyed her company a lot. Well, fast forward after a little while, like many, they have an expiration date. And if they have no other value, if there's not something else you really enjoy, you kick them to the curb. They're canceled. So she got canceled for a little bit. But then couple years ago, I was coming down, should I say, for my first long trip. It was like a 3-week working trip. Hey, I got all these ideas in my head, like, I don't know, I need a personal assistant or something. In my own mind, I'm thinking these things while I'm working, need somebody to do this. I say, you know what? I'm gonna friend zone Princess. We're cool. I'm just gonna friend zone her. I'm not gonna give her money for the usual services that she earns from. So that didn't go so well, so much. But anyways, I can remember one night we're hanging out and she's telling me, she had an apartment. She still does. Has an apartment in Santo Domingo, where she is most of the time. And I've seen that apartment, and I know what the backgrounds look. And, so I know that she's been there a lot more than here at times. So anyways, all that aside, you never know nothing anyways, really. It's, but you think you know. So anyways, she was telling me, we're sitting in a bar, and she's telling me, my power got turned out. I don't have any money, pay my lights. I've been here a little extra time, because she would normally be 3-4 days and out, 3-4 days and out. So at this point, remember, I'm not paying her for her work that she does with others now at this point. I'm no longer that guy. So I start talking to, all of a sudden I turn into the friend and somewhat of like, Papi Chulo in this instance. Because all of a sudden I'm trying to like teach her customer service, referrals, repeat business, chop your usual rate down a little bit, because at 3 or 4 at a lower rate will come a little faster than 1 or 2 at the higher rate. And I'm feeding her all this, because we're cool and trust her a little bit. I trust her, to go to the store with some money for me, pick up some things, pick up my laundry, run in and do some things like that. Now, I don't trust anybody with anything that has my full name on it, such as the debit card or passport. Let's be clear on that. So anyways, I get through that trip, and we did connect once or twice for a little fun, but so fast forward, we stayed cool for a while or whatever. And then a short while after I moved here, I was sort of going through it. I was sort of second guessing, a lot of things I was doing. And, I copied and pasted like the same frustrated message to a couple of chicks that were hounding me one day. And she responds like, do you need someone to talk to? I'll come talk to you. Hey, tell me, where your place is now. I'll come talk to you. So I was like, all right, cool. So the next day she comes, we sit outside on the balcony, have a drink. We talk for an hour or 2, and then she goes about her way. All right. And next thing so I thought, okay, that's cool. I'm feeling a little better. She's, seemed content or whatever. Didn't cost me anything, just a little time, right? Next morning I wake up at my usual like 8:30-ish, and I see that she had been trying to reach me since like 6 a.m. And so I'm like, okay. So I call her or text her, and she calls me right away. Doesn't text, she calls right away, and she's crying nonstop, relentlessly just crying hysterically. And yeah, I've said before, my speaking skills are pretty good, but my Spanish listening skills are not that great, need a little work. Throw in some crying and high level emotion, and it's like, might as well be Japanese. So I'm like, all right, just come by if you need to. So she comes. So lo and behold, her offering to talk the day before led to something bigger the next day. Like almost like, how is there a plan? Is there an angle she playing? Whatever. So she pulls up on a moto, hops off, crying profusely, tears just like the floodgates just opened up, and I'm not understanding nothing she's saying. I'm hearing like dirty chicas, cheap gringos, cheap Haitians, the mayor, the police, whatever, all this stuff. And not really sure how to tie this all together, what's going on, And I know that in these cases like this, that this is real raw emotion. Can be faked. However, there's usually some acting going on. So we have raw emotion. It is real, and some acting. We got to try to figure out. We got to try to determine, or we'll never know how much of each it is, but it's a little bit of both always, because they do have feelings, they do have emotions. So, anyways, bring her in and sit on the couch. Try to calm her down. And I realize I have like 10 minutes before my weekly team meeting for work. And I'm like, all right. So after a few minutes, I lead her into the bedroom, hand her the remote, tell her, try to rest, just relax a little bit. I need an hour for work. And I close the door. So I'm really good at compartmentalizing and separating my work from whatever else is going on. I'm just really good at just like, whoosh, whoosh. Okay, we're locked in, we're good. So an hour later, I check on her. She's sleeping, taking a nap. I'm like, all right, good. Okay, good, she's calmed down. Okay, cool. So go back to work a little bit, blah, blah, blah. And then I hear the shower running. So I go in there, see she's in the shower, and I noticed that she took her weave out. And, she's got this really strange kind of smile on her face. It's not really happy. It's not sadistic or whatever, I guess. But it's just, I don't know if it's like a glow or peace or what. But right away I'm feeling like, oh my goodness. This chick just has she had a meltdown. Now she's having some sort of weird epiphany on my watch. So, next thing I ask her, you feeling better, whatever. She said, yeah. And then a few minutes later, she's pointing to the weave, just like hanging on the towel rack or something. And she's looking in the mirror, and, let's say her real name is Victoria. So she's like pointing to the weave. The weave. That's Princess. I don't want to be her anymore. I don't want to be this. I want to be natural. I want to be Victoria again. I want to be little Vicky again, the name my grandmother and my pops used to call me. I want to be Victoria or Vicky again. I don't want to be Princess. I don't want that life. So then I'm like, oh, okay. And I should let me backtrack just a sec. She did a little while, a month or 2 weeks before this, asked me when I was going to Boca Chica again. And funny thing is, I took her down to Boca Chica, invited her down there once while I was there, because like I say, she was in the capital a lot. And I know that she hates Boca Chica itself, even though it's close to the capital. She hates it compared to Sosua. The beach, the street hustling's a little grimier and stuff. So, and she complained the whole time. So I'm like, okay. So I figured out that maybe she was trying to get me to take her out of the game or something. But I can't be the captain. I can't be no captain. And no. not saving nobody. So maybe this is part of her angle and her epiphany and all that. So anyways, the day goes on, have a pretty peaceful day. We get some food, she cooks, she ends up staying. She had another sort of weird, like, kind of spiritual moment. It started raining, and she went out on the balcony in her panties and nothing else, and dragged me out there and was trying to throw the rain, reach over the balcony, throw some rain at me, like, get some of these blessings. It said something, and I was like, oh my God, I can't. Ooh, I don't know, I've got myself into something here. So, all right, there was that. So eventually, after a day or so, she goes back to Santo Domingo, right? Well, then she's, there's something going on with the Chica hotels or something. Some of them, I don't know, they're just in really bad condition. She didn't want to pay for the more expensive ones. You're talking like a 300 peso versus 500 to 800, maybe 1,000 peso difference between Chica hotel that's deplorable even to them, versus one that has a little better Wi-Fi and is a little comfortable or whatever. I guess I don't know the whole details. So she asks, could she stay with me once in a little bit for a week or so? And I kind of was burnt out, wanted to take a little time off from my thing, and I had enough going on. I didn't really need nothing from her as far as the boom. So like, yeah, whatever. And remember, before, I already crossed the line on a working trip to sort of be in the Papi Chulo. So stay tuned. So she's here one evening. She gets dolled up to go do her thing, go work or whatever. Cool. Comes in. This was like a Friday, we'll say. Comes in. I'm still up. She's a little frustrated. Talking a little bit of trash, a little junk again about the mafiosos, ladrones, cheap Haitians, cheap gringos, whatever. I'm like, all right, whatever. Saturday, we go our separate ways, chill or whatever. Another bad night, Saturday night, same story. I'm like, all right, whatever. Sunday, she leaves the middle of the day, and I don't see her at all. And Monday morning, I get up, start working a while. Next thing you know, like 1 p.m., she's rings for me to buzz her in. I buzz her in. She's got like 4 big bags of groceries. And she's got this sort of look on her face and this little extra bounce in her step, like, yeah, look at me, I'm doing the damn thing, and I'm like, okay, cabaret money or something, I'm just talking smack, and she just goes in the kitchen, puts the groceries away, and just starts cooking, and that's when I learned she's really creative about cooking, and she does the thing. So I'm like, all right, one good night can sort of make up for those other nights or whatever. Okay, so a little water, no rum, a little rum earlier, but too much this weekend. So video without drinking this time, will you know? One other evening, I strike a nerve. I say something. I'm good at talking smack in Spanish. It's just fun to me. It amuses me. And I said something that struck a nerve. I didn't mean nothing by it. But, and she goes off, where she's really feeling herself. She's like telling me how big her apartment is in Santo Domingo compared to mine, and how she's got 2 bank accounts, and she insists on dropping the debit cards on the bed for me to see, and she's really feeling herself. Well, here's the thing you're about to find out. There are these days where you see them really feeling themselves. You see them posting on Instagram or Facebook WhatsApp statuses. You see them posting up in Bailey's, looking for a baller. You see that side, but I'm about to tell you about the side you don't see. A couple hours, she gets, after all this trash talk, she gets dressed, goes out, try to do a little business. About 4 a.m., I have to buzz her in, and I was knocked out cold, sleeping good, and I let her in, and I just turn around immediately and stagger back to bed to try to finish my peaceful night's sleep. And I just hear all this sniffling from the couch. Hear all this sniffling going on out here. And I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a rough night. Oh my, So I'm like, oh boy. And so I come out to see what's up. And it's more complaining again about the same old. The moon was supposed to be full on Tuesday, but it was only half. Cheap Haitians, mafioso taxis, blah, blah, blah. Everybody else to blame for her problems. And she's crying profusely again. And I'm not understanding nothing. And, by the way, the last little meltdown supposedly was because an after-hours bar shorted her some change after she paid for some liquor or something. Anyways, I don't know. That was her story. So this time, I don't really know what's happening. I'm trying to console her. It's not working. She pulls the shoe off, throws it across the room. The contents of her purse are all over the floor. Next thing you know, she's pulls her skirt up over her head, and it's half on, half off, and starts wailing a little bit on the floor. And man, if she understood English, I would be fried, because she would know I'm talking about her. But anyways, I'm gonna bank that nobody else knows this story well enough to tell it in English to her, or to tell it in Spanish. So, I'm thinking to myself, man, if this girl acting she could hit her head the way she's flopping around, anything could happen. And I don't want to be that dude that's all caught up in some real problems here like that. You don't call emergency services, I don't want to be extorted and have to go through any kind. You hear about those stories. I don't want to be that statistic. Enough said. So eventually I get her to bed. And next thing you know, I get up in the morning, I'm working, blah, blah, blah. She gets up a few hours later, and she starts talking trash again like she was the last night before she went out. But this time it's all at me, calling me every bad Spanish name, every kind of mafioso, ladrón, tigre, diablo, everything, mentiroso, everything. And come to find out, eventually it was because it was because some information got misconstrued somewhere. The old telephone game conversation or two that I had in the streets that really had nothing to do with her. And and then at that time I learned, I should have known this. Like I say, I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be the expert, but I should have learned that I gotta pick and choose sometimes, the angles that I play. So anyways, I'm telling her, we're not going to be fighting. We're not going to be talking no more. We're not going to be disrespecting no more today. We're done. Just go home. Just go home. Next thing you know, she gets real quiet, goes in the kitchen, and starts cooking. And there's a message here. Some will never say they're sorry. They don't say thank you much. But that's the random acts of kindness are really from their heart that they show. That's their way of saying thank you. I appreciate you. I'm sorry. I'm partially wrong. Because they'll never say they're wrong. You guys know that. Once in a while you might get that, but very seldom. So that's what it is. So she makes up for us, and we're still cool to this day. She helped me out a lot for my birthday. You know, and we're still really cool. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the love. Appreciate you. Be good.